You're listening to Behind the Mask, the show where we meet once a month to discuss mental health. Welcome to the 5th episode of the school year. I'm your host, Jocelyn Torres, and today we're going to dive into the emotion of grief and discuss strategies to cope with it. At one point or another, everyone has grieved for someone or something. Grief is to cope with loss, and some people believe that grief only occurs when one is mourning someone who has died. While grief can certainly be present in the event of this type of loss, grief could also be associated with other types of loss. It could be a romantic breakup, a friendship breakup, losing a job, getting diagnosed with an illness, or even recognizing the loss of one's childhood. According to the well-known medical center, the Cleveland Clinic, grief comes with anything that disrupts normalcy in your life. I'm sure you know or have at least heard of the 5 stages of grief, so let's dive into them. According to the health information website Healthline, these stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. First is denial, which is an automatic defense mechanism that numbs the pain caused by the situation. Denying the news gives you more time to fully grasp it and understand what has happened. Let's say your partner broke up with you and you thought they did not mean it, they were just temporarily mad. That would be an example of denial. The second is anger, which is a masking effect. It hides all the emotions you are feeling and fronts as the main one. Anger is directed towards whoever is involved in what's causing you to grieve, or at the people in your life in general. During this stage, it is hard to rationalize the situation instead of just acting on emotion. As time passes, anger will ease and return you to rational thinking. However, not everyone will experience this stage, and for others, it will take a while for it to pass. For example, if you had been fired from a job, you would resent the bosses who fired you and wish their business to fail. Third, we have bargaining. Bargaining is another defense mechanism against your emotions, postponing the hurt or pain that the situation is causing. This is when you feel you could change the outcome of a situation. You create a bunch of what if or if only statements about what you could have done differently for it to have not gone the way it did. When you go through a breakup, you could start thinking, if only I would have done things differently. The fourth is depression, and you might not even realize that it's happening. In the stages leading up to this, they repress your emotions. But once you reach depression, it all comes forward and could be overwhelming. It's not just sadness, it's a sense of emptiness and despair. It's an emotional journey that allows you to work through all that you are feeling. After a loss, it is expected to feel this way. It's not an easy thing to get through. You're going to feel hopeless. If you feel you can't get past the depression, if you feel like it'll never end, consider trying to find professional help, such as a therapist. Finally, the last stage is acceptance. Don't confuse this with a happy ending and then you're all okay again. It doesn't mean you have forgotten about it. It just means you finally understand and come to terms with whatever happened. You may feel very different from how you did before, which is normal. A big change has occurred in your life which will ultimately change you. You are still going to miss who or what you grieved, but at that point, you'll know that the world didn't end when it happened to you. Grieving is a difficult process and could take quite a toll on your mental health. The Australian health advice website healthdirect.gov notes that grief could invoke panic attacks, lead to substance abuse, cause thoughts of self-harm, or bring about the feeling that one cannot go on. If one experiences these severe effects of grief, it is important to seek professional help. To help yourself get through such a challenging time, the mental health and wellness website, helpguide.org, advises people to acknowledge their emotions, accept the fact that they are grieving, understand other people may grieve differently, look for support, and make sure to practice self-care. Grief is complex and a unique experience for everyone. Remember that others who are grieving when you are not having the same process as you. So just try to be there for each other and reach out to a trusted adult if you feel overcome by the feeling. Know that you are not alone in this feeling, and whether they be friends, family, school faculty, or mental health professionals, a support system exists to help you get through this challenging emotion. Thank you for tuning in, and come back next month to see what else is behind the mask. I'm your host, Jocelyn Torres, signing off.